Welcome to The Walkthrough with 5-Star Preps, the ultimate weekly live show that dives deep into the heart of high school football right here in East Tennessee. Powered by Triple F Training. Train like a pro. Each week, Jesse Smithey and the 5-Star Prep team takes you beyond the gridiron and into the stories that define Fall Friday nights in the hills of the Great Smoky Mountains. From the thrilling touchdowns to the hard-hitting tackles and the unsung heroes who make every game unforgettable, we've got it all covered. Join Jesse Smithey as he breaks down this week's biggest games, highlights the standout performances, and gives you the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. Now, catch us live on The Walkthrough, presented by Triple F Training.
Good evening and welcome back into the walkthrough. Week 10 already. Paige Dower alongside Jesse Smithey, as always, here inside Triple F. We talk about how great of a space this is. I mean, your son Cam's here on his birthday, hanging out at Triple F.
Yeah, and it's when we get here to set up, there's so many people doing various things, whether it's pushing sleds, playing basketball, doing weights, running outside. It's always active here.
Yeah.
And then on Monday nights, they go in and they do their Bible study. Lee Smith is here tonight helping lead that. And to have the owner of an establishment like this, who's played in the NFL, who could honestly big time everybody here,
Yes.
he doesn't. He's right in here shoulder to shoulder with the kids, leading them in Bible study, buying their pizzas, getting them in here. I love their no athlete left behind
Mentality.
they have, and they have their bus, and they'll go out and get the kids and bring them in here if their parents aren't able to. So it's truly a passion and a care for this community.
Absolutely. We also have some really great content coming up in this show. We have an interview with Farragut's head coach, Jeff Courtney, and then a recent UT baseball commit in Mikey Teasley. And then, of course, the War Room is coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll talk much more about that as the show continues, but stay tuned because that is some great content coming up. But as always, I'm going to take a look at our top 12.
Sure.
A little bit of movement, but the movement that did happen was kind of massive for a couple of teams. Of course, your standard top, it's Maryville, Alcoa, Powell, Sevier County. And then at number 5, surprisingly, it's Bearden, but it's because of a couple of solid wins.
Yeah, not only did they go on the road last week and or 2 weeks ago and blow out Cleveland, last week they blew out Oak Ridge. And so Bearden, remember, they were right there at number 12.
Hanging on for dear life.
Hanging on. And then all of a sudden they flipped the switch. Now they're up there in the top 5.
Yeah.
And West is right behind them. That big win over Anderson County. So 2 big leaps by those 2 programs in the rankings, and we just saw new life out of them here recently. So it's good to see. Those are 2 teams that going into the season we thought would contend in their respective classifications, and now they're showing it.
What do you think was the difference in this Oak Ridge win for Bearden?
I think it was feeling that everything's coming together again. They have continuity and stability at the quarterback position, familiarity at the quarterback position with Drew Parrott. Not to say that DJ Hunter didn't give them a chance, because he did, but he's battling with injury and he was new to the program and new to the offense. And so there's growing pains with that. Yeah. Whereas with Drew Parrott, you have a senior who's been through all the fires, maybe isn't as gifted athletically as DJ Hunter, but still a very gifted athlete, especially mentally in knowing how to process things. And we're seeing that confidence and ability and know-how play through Drew Parrott into that offense, and just everything kind of flowing out of him.
Yeah, and you mentioned quarterbacks gaining confidence. It's West who's at number 6, our quarterback Parker Dubon. You feel after their bye week, the playbook opened up a little bit more. Early in this game against Anderson County, he was already looking downfield, trying to pass the ball. They had really strong drives that they were able to string together. Of course, it's the defense that ends up trying to and prevails in that game against Anderson County, but that was a huge win for the Rebels.
And if you're Parker Dubon, you have to take those shots down the field.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they're incompletions, you have to show that opposing defense that you're willing to stretch them out a little bit, test them, and that's going to in turn affect the run game in a positive way for West. And that's what they love to do, is run the football. And I just thought they showed a ton of mental fortitude in that game. West High School did. I mean, what you expect out of a 2-time defending state champion, to go up 17-0, lose that lead, you're down double digits, and then bounce back in the 4th quarter, win that game at home. It was senior night.
Yeah,
and
it was senior night.
What a memorable
field goal
game.
to seal it. Yeah.
One of the most memorable games of the second half of the season, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Great win by the West Rebels. Next one at 7, we have Anderson County, then Greenville, then Grace Christian, who we had heard from their head coach last week. They go and get a solid signature win over Webb.
You used the exact right word, signature win for Grace Christian. This is what we've been waiting on. And what we talked about last week, that if they want that statewide respect, they have to win this game.
Yeah.
And they got out to a lead. Webb made it interesting late and
sure
could have had a
did.
game-winning touchdown pass, but that defense stood strong for Grace Christian, and then the celebration just spilled out onto the field. They knew exactly what that win meant. At worst, Grace Christian will be a 3 seed if they lose their last 2 games, which are losable games. They have very difficult opponents in Silverdale Baptist and Boyd Buchanan in Week 11. Even if they lose both of those, they'll host a first-round playoff game, and that means the world to a program like Grace Christian, who's trying to build under the Price twins.
Yeah, for sure. Seeing the coaches go on to the field after they win, just jumping up in the air. I mean, that's what you live for, right? Well, then at number 10, it's Gibbs, Loudon, and then Oliver Springs, who we'll talk a bit more as the show continues. But I want to turn our attention now to the Week 10 preview. What can we expect from this season or this weekend? The last 2, we've seen a lot of teams on bye weeks, but now we're starting to see a little bit of these teams come back to the field.
Absolutely. And finally, right? I mean, this is the kind of week we would expect in October. It's chock full of big-time rivalry games, meaningful region games, games that are for 1 seeds, games that are for playoff spots. So this is exactly what you want in the next to last week of the regular season. We got a lot of games to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start with Halls and West. So West, they won the last several games in this matchup.
You know how we would talk about Grace Christian wanting to win those big games, or Gibbs to win those big games to get up to those prime seedings in that region? Halls is very much in the same situation where they got teams like Powell and West in their region. They want to host a first-round playoff game. Well, to do that, you're going to have to beat one of these premier teams that's in your league, in your region. And so this is an opportunity for Halls, coming off of a big win last week where they put up a lot of points, to try to knock off maybe an unsuspecting West.
Sure.
West, though, is a mature football team, seasoned coaching staff. They're not going to let their kids be asleep at the wheel on this one. So this is going to be a difficult game for Halls, but that's what I'm watching in this. Can Halls close the gap or even maybe spring an upset? I don't think they will, but I mean, it's an opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely another big game, and now West is on the road for the remainder of their season as well, so that definitely plays a factor. Our next one is Oak Ridge at Lenore City. So Oak Ridge, in this rivalry, they've won the last 6 matchups.
And who would I even pick in this?
I know. Oak Ridge is 4-4. Lenore City is 5-3. A huge region matchup.
And Lenore City got blown out last week by Heritage, and Oak Ridge got blown out. And these 2 teams are playing for the 1 seed. So this is not your typical 1 seed matchup in Week 10 where both teams are coming in undefeated records and playing at their peak. They're both wondering, like, what are we right now? Who are we right now? But the winner of this game will be in the driver's seat for a 1 seed. So it's definitely a meaningful football game. And we'll see which of these teams can kind of bounce back in a major way here in Week 10.
Yeah, an interesting matchup coming up, too, is Carter and Fulton. So Carter's lost their last 4 games this season, and Fulton, they've won their last 4 games. So it's someone kind of riding a low, it's someone riding high, and they're kind of meeting at the right time in this region matchup.
Yeah, and for Fulton, Derek Smith has been playing off the charts at wide receiver for them this year. He's really come onto the scene as a big-time star here in the greater Knoxville area. If they can keep feeding him the ball against Carter, they're going to have a shot to win this game. Of course, they have Albert Johnson at running back. Their quarterback play has been surprising this year at Fulton. They really got some good numbers out of their quarterback this year. And Fulton's one of those teams that's trying to slide into one of those top 2 seeds here late in the season. They need to win this game to set up a Week 11 showdown with, I believe, Gibbs in Week 11, and try to, again, upset Gibbs in Week 11, maybe get a 2 seed in a home playoff game. And we talk about teams turning around their season. Fulton's been able to do that this year.
For sure. And Carter's been on the cusp of it a couple of times where their 3-5 could maybe be a little bit more like 4-4 at least.
Yeah, they're definitely, you don't judge them by their record. They have a lot of offensive weapons. They can sneak up and beat you. For
sure. Our next one is HVA and Farragut. It's gone in Farragut's way a lot of the time. Could be an interesting matchup coming up on Friday, though.
Farragut, I mean, how do you describe what they've done? They were 0-5. We go out to watch them play on their home field against Bearden, and they just get smacked up and down the field, and you're going, they may not win a game the rest of this season. When you look at the rest of what they had coming up, they had to go on the road at Bradley Central the next week, and here they are, winners of their last 3. possibly going to the playoffs. They have to win this game to get to the playoffs against Hardin Valley. And just, wow, what a 180 that Farragut's done.
Yeah, and you mentioned the team finding its identity, building confidence in the team. That's definitely part of the conversation that you had with head coach Jeff Courtney, and here's part of that interview now.
Welcome in Jeff Courtney, head football coach at Farragut High School. And Jeff, this has been a remarkable turnaround for your football team. How did you remain patient individually, and how did you get teenagers to remain patient and just stay the course?
Yeah, that certainly was one of the biggest challenges. But yeah, we took our lumps early in the year. We knew that we had a developing football team that was younger. We had a lot of guys that graduated and left off of last year's team. We played a really tough schedule. We kind of found out who we were early in our year. But the kids, I said this, I think, to our radio guy last week that, they're probably, as teenagers these days, probably more resilient than we are as coaches at times. So showing back up at the new week on Monday, kids came back in every week ready to go with a positive mindset. And that was the encouraging thing for us as coaches.
So you guys began 0-5, and there's times when you're competitive and there's times when you weren't competitive. Was there a low point for you? This is your first time as a head coach. I know you've been around the program for so many years, but now you have the reins. Was it kind of tough to stay up mentally at times?
Yeah, it was tough just because I felt like we knew that we were going to have to be a team that matured throughout the year, but at times we just weren't giving ourselves a chance to stay competitive. And of course, when you're playing a good team and the margin for error is so small, our kids were playing hard. They were doing what we were asking them to do, but still, at the end of the night, it wasn't turning out like they wanted to. But no, like I said, I felt like our kids stayed positive throughout it. When they came back each week, they were ready to go with a great mindset. And so I was very happy that they continued to stay the course. I know as we as coaches, we were very excited that they were able to just keep pushing through. And then ultimately, confidence is one of those things that it's hard to try to foster and cultivate. And so when we got that first win down at Bradley, you could just kind of see the switch flip.
So you talking about that switch flip. Was there something in that game that triggered it? When you look back on it now, was there like a light bulb moment?
Not necessarily a light bulb moment. I just felt like we made some plays in that game. For the first time all year, we were able to withstand some adversity. We got up. Bradley came back. They cut it to 1 point. We were able to keep the lead, but then they actually extend the lead in the fourth quarter. So for our kids to see that they could do that in a football game, that was, great for them. And it was good for us as coaches to see, all right, we're kind of starting to figure this thing out.
Coming into the year, when we would look at Farragut High School, we would start off with Landon Collins and Robbie Jacobs, two experienced wide receivers, two guys that could be playing college football on Saturdays. At what point did your quarterback catch up with their abilities? Because it seems like the production is up.
Yeah, it is. There's two good football players for us. We knew early on we got to try to get those guys the ball. We're trying to grow the quarterback position a little bit throughout the course of the year. And so with the passing game, when that's two of your better playmakers, there's a lot that goes into that. There's protection, there's timing, there's spacing. There's a lot of things, a lot of repetition that you got to work at to get good at that. And so we just knew it would come with time. Corbin's settled in as our quarterback. He's been able to limit some mistakes. We made a couple of mistakes the other night, but we were able to overcome them, and he threw a couple of nice balls, got us some big plays to those guys, and it was able to jumpstart our offense.
Farragut now won its last 3 football games. You guys are very much in the playoff picture. Kind of detail what needs to happen for Farragut to sneak into those 6A playoffs.
Well, I've looked at it, but you've been doing it a long time. You can't really figure it out. I think if we get a chance, if we can beat Hardin Valley, our last 2 games are at home, and so we're excited about that. We've got Hardin Valley and Maryville, 2 region games, 2 tough region opponents. But we beat Bradley Central. We're kind of right there in the middle behind Cleveland. So if we can get a win with Hardin Valley, I think we'll end up sliding in as the 4 seed out of Region 2.
I mean, it's got to feel electric. It's got to be juice flowing in that locker room, just knowing that there's belief there, there's hope and something to play for, right?
Yeah, it is. The kids were excited coming in today. We got whole new renovated, all new furniture in our team room today.
Wow. Yeah.
So they were excited for one reason coming into a new facility. The other thing was and we kind of said, we laid out the week's plan, our motto this week, and kind of what our mission and our mindset is for each week. We laid that out to they were excited to hear that. So we know what's at stake. We know that we got to continue to get better, but we've got goals that we want to reach for this football team this year, and our kids are still working towards those goals.
Be remiss if I didn't ask about your pop, your dad, and just like, what's that dynamic like as you learn your way as a head coach? Do you still lean on him, or does he chime in? How does that work between you two?
Yeah, he's still around some. He does a lot of the things that I don't have really time to deal with. You know, I'm still a classroom teacher. You know, he was a PE teacher for all those years, but I've got one PE class, but I'm up in the school building in the morning. So he still does some of those administrative and maintenance type of things that a head coach needs to do. But he's really there for like an hour or two, maybe every other day, and then goes home. He actually got to go to the beach in September for the first time ever. So during our bye week, he was down at the beach for 10 straight days and loved it. So he's enjoying his time. He's enjoyed, you know, taking a step back and just being able to just relax a little bit and just kind of enjoy himself.
Yeah, well, I know you're enjoying this 3-game win streak.
Yeah.
Jeff, thanks so much for joining us on the program tonight. You guys don't go anywhere. Keep an eye on Farragut here in Week 10, and we got a lot more show right here on the walkthrough. Stay with us.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
Welcome back into the walkthrough. Coming up later as well, we have a great interview coming up with UT baseball commit and Mikey Teasley. But I want us to continue this Week 10 preview page to our Jesse Smithey. Of course, we have to talk about Alcoa and Maryville. It is lopsided in Maryville's favor. The last time, though, that this rivalry happened at Maryville, Maryville lost. So now the coaches are 1-1 in the last 2 meetings. This game means a lot. It's an emotional game for both of these teams. What can we expect?
So this is the Battle of Pistol Creek, they call it. And you're right, it has been lopsided in Maryville's favor. And I think over the last 5 games, it's heavily in Maryville's favor. I think Alcoa 1-4 in those meetings. And they did get that win. Last year, Alcoa was supposed to win. Alcoa was loaded with D1 talent. Maryville was struggling, had lost 3 or 4 games in the regular season. And Alcoa just had never had a better opportunity to knock off its big brother, and they did not do it. They did not do it. And Maryville celebrated on their home field, on Alcoa's home field, and now Alcoa has an opportunity to spoil Maryville's regular season, which is undefeated at this point. So Maryville coming off a very big win, got that win over Cleveland last week that clinched the #1 seed for that program. And so they've been able to check off that regular season goal of getting that 1 seed, making sure they have home field advantage in the playoffs. But as you mentioned, this game is emotional. It means everything between those two communities going into the offseason. They like to have bragging rights at Maryville. They like to have bragging rights at Alcoa. This is one of the best rivalry games in the state. If you've never been, go out to Maryville this Friday night, grab yourself a ticket, and watch it. It's phenomenal football. Yeah,
highly recommend going to that game. The next one I want us to turn our attention to is Loudon and Signal Mountain. So Loudon's won the last 5 in this matchup, 7-1 all time. Talk about undefeated teams. Well, that's Loudon in this matchup.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk about this. Loudon's had a fantastic year. They're undefeated. They're in the 5-star preps power rankings. They're getting state ranking points and things like that. But they have a team like Signal Mountain that's right there on their tail with 1 loss in the region. If Signal Mountain somehow springs the upset, then it just becomes a log jam at the top of that region. So there's so much pressure this time of the year for any program, whether it's a Maryville, Alcoa, or a Loudon, to be able to hang on to that #1 spot. And that's the challenge that Loudon has on Friday night. Make sure you stay a step above of those 2 teams in their region that are kind of nipping at their heels. And I believe they're going to have to go on the road to do that.
Yes, they will. They'll be at Signal Mountain in that matchup. Our next one is Cofield and Oliver Springs. Sneaky big game here
Very
coming
big
up.
game.
So Oliver Springs won last year, but then Cofield, they won the previous 6.
Yeah. So, and they played twice last year. Remember, Cofield got them in the regular season 20-13. They face each other in the state quarterfinals. Oliver Springs wins 20-13. So Cofield very much wants revenge on Oliver Springs. And we've talked about it on the show about how Oliver Springs has been in the spotlight all season long, from their early season win over South Pittsburgh, which is huge. That was the team that beat them in the state semifinals last year, to the Whitwell win just a week or 2 ago. Cofield's kind of the team that's not forgotten about, but they're kind of mentioned second behind Oliver Springs, and they want to change that because they're used to be mentioning first in terms of 1A contenders from East Tennessee. This is their opportunity to do that.
Well, you talk about opportunities. We go to Anderson County and Gibbs. Is this Gibbs's opportunity? I mean, it's 10-1 in all-time meetings between these 2 programs.
Anderson County has not lost to a region opponent since 2016. I think it's
Incredible.
42 consecutive region victories. They know that. They keep up with every statistic imaginable when it comes to their wins out at Anderson County.
I mean, I would too if that's
whether
the
it's
stat.
wins over Clinton or wins in the playoffs or whatever. And so this means something to Anderson County. They like to continue their dominance in region play, whereas Gibbs is ready to try to exert itself, trying to see what it's like at the top. And so you've got the clash of those 2 wills coming together up in Gibbs on Friday night, and I'm heavily looking forward to this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, stay tuned. When we come back, we have that interview with the UT baseball commit. We'll be right back.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
Normally a football show here on the walkthrough, but we have to make exceptions every now and then. Now joined by Mikey Teasley, standout baseball player at Oak Ridge, recently committed to the Tennessee Vols. Mikey, congratulations on that. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So take me through the last 24 hours for you. You announced on social media that you're going to Tennessee. What's been your phone situation like? Text, DMs, just everything, everybody congratulating you.
My phone, it's been crazy. Actually, last night I had to go and do not disturb because it was blowing up so much. And then I looked at it this morning and saw I had almost 2,000 likes on my IG post. And I was like, dang, this is really blowing up and it's a crazy experience. And then Tony texted me actually during lunch today. And he was like, I'm glad you're able to be part of this program. And I told him, thank you for having me over there.
So take me through the process with Tennessee. When did you first learn about them or hear from them, and how did that grow?
I actually heard from them the first day that they were able to recruit me. So August 1st of my junior year, so this year, they were able to talk to me. And then ever since we've been in contact. And I went to LSU 3 weeks ago, and my mind kind of flipped because I wanted to go to Tennessee before. My mind kind of flipped. And then all of a sudden I got on campus this weekend, and it was like, yeah, this is where I need to be. This feels like home to me.
So when you say this weekend, you're talking about Alabama game weekend. When, for a recruiting visit, what did that day start for you?
Started bright and early, 7:45 is when I got up.
Oh, wow.
And then we left we go to breakfast at like 8:30. And then from there, we were just on the go, really.
So take us through like a recruiting visit. Y'all are going to see facilities, or how does that work?
We're going, so first day we get there, normally if we're traveling, we land. They come pick us up from the airport, and then we'll go eat dinner when we get there, and then we'll go to sleep, and then we'll wake up, go tour the facilities, have a photo shoot, get to go to the football game, and then just meet with all the coaches. And then actually this Tennessee visit, we went bowling.
We went bowling.
Yeah.
Are you a good
And
bowler?
we golfed.
You played golf too?
A little bit.
Okay.
Every now and then.
Are you a good bowler at all?
Yep, I mean, I'm all right.
All right, no, I am not. I'm the worst male bowler you'll ever meet. But at what point on the weekend did you feel like, okay, this is where I need to be?
I would say when I first stepped on the field and kneeling, because right before we were able to go on the sideline, and just the atmosphere of them running out and everything like that, it was like, wow. I was like, I need to be here.
Yeah, I go to some of the functions around town, and Tony Vitello may speak there, Rick Barnes may speak there. And today, here Monday, Rick Barnes spoke at the Knoxville Quarterback Club downtown Knoxville, and he talked about how just the atmosphere at Neyland Stadium for a football game can affect basketball recruiting or baseball recruiting. So, I mean, it had an amazing, intense effect on you then, right?
Yes, sir.
So, take me back to last spring. Oak Ridge is doing its thing in baseball. Y'all are having a fantastic year, go all the way to state. Tennessee baseball doing pretty special as well. What impact did watching what Tennessee did in spring affect you? How did that affect you?
It kind of, it affected me because, of course, I wanted to be a hometown guy. So, like, I always grew up watching them. So, of course, I was supporting them in the College World Series and everything like that. And then, it encouraged me to be like, yeah, I want to be here. So,
So, looking ahead to college, did they talk to you about how they want to use you position-wise?
Yes, sir. I'm going to be a two-way there. So I'm going to play third, and I'm going to pitch.
Okay. That's a rarity nowadays. What do you feel like? I know you still got a junior season to play, senior season to play, but in the meantime, how do you develop yourself to handle that transition to college baseball and be able to do that?
I'd say I keep on working with Coach Free over there at Oak Ridge, and then keep on coming here because, honestly, here is one of the best places to come if you want to get better.
Right.
And then I go pitching coach every day to develop me on the pitching side, and then Coach Free helps me with my swing and on top of my dad.
So you work out here at Triple F quite a bit.
Sir.
What do you like about it?
I like how the coaches, like, even though normally if I go somewhere, I'm one of the better athletes, so I'm like not push as hard, but here they push you as hard as you can be, and they don't let you slack off at all.
Yeah. Mikey, man, congratulations on committing to Tennessee, and thanks for joining us down here at Triple F today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right, that's Mikey Teasley, standout baseball player at Oak Ridge. don't go anywhere. We got a lot more content to come right here on the walkthrough.
Welcome back in. And that was a great interview with Mikey Teasley, just how excited he was. He talked about after the game against Tennessee and Alabama, they also rushed the field as well. And when you're trying to recruit a player and you got a Tennessee football team playing the way they are, there's no better recruitment pitch than that.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be at the cool place, right?
Yeah.
Where all the energy's going on, all the buzz, all the electricity, and that means something. Just the cross recruitment of what football can do for basketball and basketball can do for baseball and vice versa. And it all kind of works together over at Tennessee right now.
Yeah.
They are building something special, and Mikey Teasley wanted to be a part of that. And it was also great to start to learn a little bit more about him. So Oak Ridge made this run to the state tournament last year, and they had a lot of young players. And so at the time, we were just learning a little bit about who Mikey Teasley was as a player. And now that was just great to sit down and kind of learn a little bit more about what makes him tick.
Yeah, for sure. And the hometown kid getting to stay home is always nice as well. Also coming up, we'll get a little bit more into the war room. That'll be coming up in a couple of weeks. But of course, we have to get to our Waffle House win-loss projections. You're doing pretty good.
We're making strides.
We're chugging along.
We're making strides.
Yes. So our first game I want to turn our attention to is Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg-Pittman. Pigeon Forge having a pretty decent season so far.
But both teams coming off of losses in Week 9. Pigeon Forge losing to a winless Austin East team. How many times have we talked about Pigeon Forge being one of the surprise teams this year? Nobody expected them to be here, and now nobody expected them to lose to Austin East last week. So that was a really tough loss for Pigeon Forge. I don't know if somebody big got hurt in that game or what caused that, or maybe Austin East just played an excellent football game, but they lost it nonetheless. GP loses to Johnson County. That's an undefeated Johnson County team, by the way. But so neither one of these teams is at its peak going into this Week 10 showdown, but it's a huge rivalry game. It means the world to both communities. I like Gatlinburg-Pittman to win this football game just because they have a little bit extra in the run game. Both teams are going to run the football a lot, but GP has two guys that they can lean on, so 2 versus 1. Give me GP.
Awesome. Our next one is Heritage and Central. What are you liking about this matchup with these two teams figuring it out?
Yeah, just playoff implications in this game between Heritage and Central. Heritage just got its quarterback, Gavin French, back from the injury list, and look what they did last week. They blew out a really decent, Lenore City team that's playing for a 1 seed in its region. So Heritage comes into this game with a lot of confidence. Central lost last week to Powell in a very bad way, but they still have some really good players at Central. I like the home field advantage. I like Central's secondary against a Heritage quarterback in this one. So give me Central in this one.
Anderson County Gibbs, we talked about it in the last segment. If Gibbs is to have a chance in this matchup against a really stout Anderson County team, what do they have to do, you think?
Yeah, play well in the secondary. Also learn how to stop the run game. They have their hands full. But defensively, they've really been playing well at Gibbs of late. But this is going to be their hardest test. You look at their schedule, and yes, they have a win over Halls, which is a really nice win early in the season. But nobody of this ilk. And so Anderson County is going to test them in all phases of their defense. And then offensively, Gibbs is going to have to make some things happen as well. So as many strides as Gibbs has made this year, and as unbelievable of an atmosphere as that's going to be in Coreyton on Friday night, I like Anderson County to win that football game. They just do not lose in region. I don't see them losing back-to-back games this year.
Absolutely not. And they're so dynamic on offense, too. If it wasn't because of that West defense, keeping it close, it could have been a lot different of an outcome. So we'll go with Anderson County on that one. The next one, you mentioned it, Coalfield and Oliver Springs earlier in the game. This is really interesting because Coalfield's 5-0 in region play, and so is Oliver Springs.
Yeah, both
implications.
Both teams have seasoned quarterbacks. Both teams have seasoned running backs. They got defensive stars, offensive line stars. They're so evenly matched. But I feel like Oliver Springs has a little something about it this year, a little swagger about it, a little belief, and just uber confidence from those wins that we've discussed earlier in the show. So give me Oliver Springs in this one, but they're going to rematch most likely in the quarterfinals again, and who knows, I might switch my pick to Coalfield then. But
well, now you have the head-to-head matchup. You'll know a little bit better.
That's at Oliver Springs, right?
It is at Oliver Springs,
That place is going to be rocking. It's a TV game on Thursday night. There's going to be so much buzz about that game. It's the only Thursday night game in this area, so this could be a fun one to watch.
A fun one as well will be Maryville and Alcoa. So Alcoa's 5-1 on the year. Had a couple of cancellations on games they're not able to get back. Maryville 8-0. Do you think Alcoa being a little fresher on that side of things plays to their advantage in this game?
Possibly, but it could also work conversely. I mean, they haven't really played so much over the last month, and that can sometimes be a hindrance, whereas Maryville is just
Fine-tuned.
rolling.
Yeah.
Fine-tuned. I mean, they are at their peak right now. And I like Maryville to win this football game.
Yeah.
They are the 6A football team. They're one of the contenders in 6A. Alcoa very much can win another state championship in 3A, but I'm liking what I'm seeing more out of Maryville at this point as being the #1 team in 5-star preps. I have to pick them.
Yeah, I mean, they've not moved from that spot this entire season, so why would they move now? Now we have to get to the fun stuff here as well. We've got a nice war room coming back up this season. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect from the war room.
So the war room is what we do on the last Friday night of every high school football season. In the regular season, we broadcast pregame at halftime and in the postgame and bring everybody updates on what the brackets are looking like, who's winning the critical games. And we set up the night by doing our pregame show, have a lot of guests on, coaches, players, and then as the night begins, the games begin, we're keeping tabs, we're crossing off certain scenarios and figuring out which teams go in which parts of the brackets. And then around 10 o'clock or so, we unveil the brackets before anybody can do it. And everybody's tired of waiting on the TSSAA to finish theirs, so we
want answers now.
So around 10 o'clock, 10:15, we'll unveil all the area teams and who they'll be playing in the playoffs. So we're going to do it here at Triple F. We already got the thumbs up from Lee Smith. He's going to be on the show. We're going to have coaches, players. So tune in Friday night, November 1st, for the War Room right here at Triple F. We'll set up the playoffs, have a lot of fun interviews, discussions, and it's one of the favorite things that we've done on this program. We've done it at Dead End Barbecue. We've done it at Jared's supplement shop. We had somebody put in the cryotherapy chamber or whatever it's called, and we're giving them pop quizzes live on air. So we like to have a lot of fun with it, and we're looking forward to it next week.
Yeah, it gives me a little bit of a mad scientist vibes too as you're trying to
jigsaw
the playoff brackets as they get set. But this is our Week 10 walkthrough. Great having you all here with us. Make sure to subscribe and get all your latest content at 5starpreps.com for all the latest on the high school scene, and we'll talk to you all next week.
Welcome to the walkthrough with 5-Star Preps, the ultimate weekly live show that dives deep into the heart of high school football right here in East Tennessee. Powered by Triple F Training. Train like a pro. Each week, Jesse Smithey and the 5-Star Prep team takes you beyond the gridiron and into the stories that define Fall Friday nights in the hills of the Great Smoky Mountains. From the thrilling touchdowns to the hard-hitting tackles and the unsung heroes who make every game unforgettable, we've got it all covered. Join Jesse Smithey as he breaks down this week's biggest games, highlights the standout performances, and gives you the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. Now, catch us live on The Walkthrough, presented by Triple F Training.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.